Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is a little bit different, but not a lot different. This is just like a slight deviation from my normal, but something that I really want to start doing. And since the whole point of this channel is a little bit of everything, I figured because it involves books, it's kind of fits between the planning and the books and the vlogs. I figure this is not much of a deviation. This is just like a slight lifestyle change thing. I hope I'm in focus and I hope I'm not too washed out because I'm very pale right now because, you know, this is just genetics and it's also winter in Washington. Anyways, so ever since I got sick, and started being in pain 24/7, I really started looking into different methods of pain relief and different ways to heal my body with food and herbs and that kind of stuff. I've been looking into it, but I haven't done anything with it yet. And I think it's time to fix that, to actually do something with this knowledge that I've been acquiring. So I have some books here that I want to show off. This is my little mini book haul for this stage in my life. So I have a couple of books here that I bought that are like medicinal herbs. You know, back in the old days, they didn't have doctors the way we do now. They used a lot of herbs as medicine. They foraged for it. They would use what was readily available to them before, you know, the FDA and medicines and science really got involved. But there is a lot to be said for how they would treat people back in the old days. I mean, they have some evidence that thousands of years ago, before the Dark Ages, they were able to do things as cool as drilling into your cranium to release pressure. They were able to do stitches and sutures. They were able to really help people. Then Dark Ages hit, we lost all of our information and we had to start over from scratch. So I'm trying to go back to being a little bit more natural because I don't like using medications. I don't like using painkillers. And if I can help it, I want to try to be more natural and heal my body with plants and things of that sort first. And if that doesn't work, then I have no problem going to the doctor. I am fully vaccinated. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I do want to try to be more holistic in my approach to my health moving forwards. Maybe if I had had some of these tools years ago, I would have known what was coming up for me and I may not have needed the full hysterectomy, at least not yet. So, like I said, I'm not a doctor. This is just me learning about medicine, the more holistic path. I call this the little kitchen witch because that's kind of what, you know, it's seen as being a witch when you're using the earth to make potions and heal your body from the inside. Keep in mind, I am just starting. Trigger warning to the fact that I am just starting this. I don't know what I'm doing yet. But I thought this would be a fun way to, you know, come along with me and we'll forage together. We will start learning how to make some more natural stuff. I've got a couple of recipes that I want to try already from these books and from some other sources that I found on the internet. And I figured I would show them to you. And, you know, some of them are, you know, medicinal herbs and fighting in your immune system. And some of them are more witchy-ish because that's where I found a lot of these books, was in the witch section. So that's why I'm calling this my kitchen witch. All right, so the first book that I found is called Medicinal Herbs and for Immune Defense. These are remedies for things like colds, flus, that kind of stuff. It's full of different recipes. It's full of different pictures and descriptions of different plants so that you can either forage for them or buy them. They've also got you know, ways to make tinctures and syrups and scrubs and salves and poultices and all sorts of stuff. So this is just a basic identifying and recipe book. I thought this would be really interesting. I bought this when I was in pain, and the page I have marked is for Golden Seal, because Golden Seal is a really good pain reliever, but the only problem is it's very hard to find. It's been cultivated way too much, and it is going extinct. So, I mean, eventually we're gonna work on a garden too, so that I can have some of these readily available to me and don't have to go to the store to buy them or forage for them or buy them on the internet. All right, the next one I have is the Complete Medicinal Herbal. I talked to a lady in the mall, and we got into this conversation about how her grandmother has been healing her entire family for years and years and years using just herbs, which is really what I want to get back in, what I want to get into. And this was one of the books that she's recommended to me. She did recommend me the older version of this book, but the older version of this book is like $200. And so I just got the updated version. I'm hoping that the fact that it's updated is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a beautiful book though. Again, it's full of recipes and it's full of information about certain plants, what to use, what not to use, what they look like, how to forage them, how to make them into tinctures. They have different applications. They have like, so this one is for oatmeal. And the oatmeal one has a fluid extract, a poultice. It tells you how to use the whole plant versus the seeds versus the bran. It gives you a lot of information of like how to use these different herbs, which I think is great. And that's what I want to do, is I want to be able to use these herbs in the best way possible. The last one that she told me to get, so she told me to get this one and this one. This one is the old original version that she was showing me. It's from like the 70s or 80s. I bought it on Thrift Books. It was a little bit expensive, but it was really comparable to the new version. Because again, these ones have a new version too. This one is, this one's from the 90s. They did have one from like the 70s, but I couldn't go that far back. But this one is a little bit on the older side. And again, it doesn't have the pretty pictures, but it has like, this one's for warm wart. It's what I just happened to open it up to. And it tells you what it's good for. It says this herb stimulates ureter contractions and can be toxic in large doses, so don't use it during pregnancy. So it's got the little warnings on it, but then it's also got things like it's an appetite stimulant. It helps with arthritis. It helps with low back pain. It helps with blood circulation. So things that, depending on your stage of life, would be very helpful to you. So if you're not pregnant, it's fine. You can use this herb. There's actually quite a few of them that you're not supposed to use while you're pregnant, which is not a current issue of mine. I love rosehip. Rosehip tea is one of my favorite teas in the world. They've got a whole section here on rose hips that you can see the different benefits and how to use them. So this one's just basically a lot of the herbs. So if you're like looking up one of the recipes and you're wanting to know more about the herb in that recipe, you go to this one to look it up. The next one I got just recently, and it's Secret Medicines from Your Garden. Again, it's the same idea. This one's got a lot of different names for them. It's got different formulas for using them. It's got tons of pictures. These two that I just recently bought are a little bit more about the herbs themselves and less about the recipes. And the workbooks that I already showed you were a little bit of a mix. So I have one that's all herbs. I have one that's mostly recipes. These ones are a little bit different. It goes into like bee medicine. So that way you can, you know, learn more about how honey plays a part. One of the things I want to try is a garlic honey mixture. So you take a mason jar. I'm going to take a small one because I want to try it out, and I don't want to make a huge one and then end up being grossed out by it because some of this is an acquired taste. And I'm that weird person that can't swallow anything if it's disgusting to me. Which there's so many jokes in there, and I'm just going to move right past that. So one of the recipes that I found was you take whole garlic, you give them a little bit of a squish so they open up, and then you put them in a mason jar and you fill it full of honey. Because of the antibacterial and antifungal properties of both the garlic and the honey, it's really good for like a cough suppressant. It's really good for like when you're sick to help clear that up. And I want to do stuff like that instead of going into the pharmacy and picking up some NyQuil or something. This one's got things like pine syrups, and it tells you how to make a clarified butter with pine that you can actually use to make things. So we're going to start foraging a little bit, and this book is a lot of the foraging stuff, whereas the other books are things that you're going to find more in your garden. This is kind of a mixture. There's going to be some overlap in these books, but I wasn't exactly positive what I was looking for, and all of these hit a slightly different thing for me. So I went ahead and got this one too, even though this one does overlap a little bit with the other ones. And then the last one I got is like a huge compendium. This one is called the Hearthwish Compendium, and it's got a ton of information. It's got drinks, recipes, it's got bath and beauty recipes, it's got home recipes, it's got oil blends and home remedies. It's a lot of the same stuff, but it's a lot of the different. And I kept finding that there was things that I was missing in some of these books where I wanted to, expand farther. This is something that I'm going to really have to play by ear, and I'm sure there's going to be one of these books that I think is amazing, and there's going to be one that's going to end up going to like the used bookstore or something. And I don't know which ones are which just yet. This is still pretty new for me. I got most of these secondhand, or I got them for really cheap. The only ones that I actually spent decent money on were the last two because I got them from Barnes & Noble. I was sitting on the ground and I went through all the Hearthwish section, and these are the two I came out with. Because these ones have a little bit more of a mystical glint to them, where those ones are just like herbs and remedies. I don't know if there's going to be one book that's better than the other ones. I don't know if I just bought a bunch of books that all overlap. That's still yet to be seen, but I figured that I would give them a shot and see how they worked. So I'm going to make this a little series, and we will try out some of these home remedies, see how they work, see if they're easy to find, try foraging, and see how that works too. So I hope you'll come along with me and while I try to make my house healthier. I'm going to turn my children into guinea pigs because we have a lot of neurodivergence in this household. We know that we have a lot of depression, anxiety, and ADHD in the house because we've got diagnoses of those. I personally don't have any diagnoses, but that doesn't mean that I don't have anything. It just means that when I was a kid, they didn't diagnose for those things. And as an adult, I avoid the doctor like to play. But my daughter is diagnosed with ADHD. My son has really bad anxiety as well as depression. We're pretty sure that he's got autism. He's going to get tested for that in about 2 weeks to find out if he's got that. My oldest definitely has some depression issues. We don't know what he has because, again, he masked really well when he was a kid, and we didn't realize there was an issue until he got older. And now that he's older, he's been booted off the insurance, and it's harder to get him diagnosed with anything. But I'm going to play guinea pig with my children, and I'm going to use these books and the things that I find and see if any of this stuff helps. To see if I can make my house, my home, my children happier and healthier. So I hope you join me for this. This is just step one. Here are the books I bought. And you'll get, periodic videos of how things were going. We'll try some recipes together. We'll go foraging together. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've got any experience with this kind of stuff, or with these books, or any other books that you'd like to suggest to me that you think would work better than what I already have. And yeah, hopefully this becomes a thing. And I will see you guys soon. Bye!